I'm sharing this story anonymously, but I have to get it off my chest. My name is Auntie Rodia, and I am the younger sister of Alhaji Danko, one of the wealthiest men in northern Nigeria. My nephew Ismaila is a 30-year-old spoiled brat who is always gotten everything he wants. His father's wealth and influence have made him arrogant and entitled. But what happened recently has left me shaken. Ismaila has been under pressure to marry, but he's never been interested. His father's health is failing, and Alhaji wants to see his son settle before, Ismaila's refusal to marry has become a family crisis. One day Alhaji called a family meeting and announced that Ismaila would marry within 3 months. If not, his inheritance would be revoked. Ismaila was furious, but his father stood firm. That's when the desperate bride hunt began. Ismaila's criteria were simple. The girl had to be beautiful, virgin, and from a respectable family. His father's wealth and influence made him think he could buy anyone. They started in the city, hosting parties and gatherings, parading girls like cattle. But Ismaila wasn't interested. He dismissed girls for the smallest reason. Her nose is too big, or her skin is too dark. It was like he was shopping for a car, not a life partner. As the deadline loomed, Alhaji became increasingly frustrated. That is when they turned to the rural areas, seeking a traditional girl. They visited villages, meeting with local leaders and families. Accompanying them on one such trip, we arrived in a small village and the locals welcomed us warmly. They presented several girls, but Ismaila was unimpressed. That night, we stayed in the village chief's compound. I couldn't sleep, hearing whispers outside my room. I peeped through the window and saw Ismaila and his friends sneaking off into the darkness. The next morning, I confronted him. "Where did you go last night?" I demanded. He smirked. "Just getting some fresh air, auntie." But I knew better. That evening, we returned to the city. Alhaji was furious when Ismaila still hadn't chosen a bride. The old man's health began to decline rapidly. One night, I received a disturbing call from Ismaila. "Auntie, I found her," he whispered. "Who?" I asked uneasy. "A girl from the village. She's perfect." I sensed something was off. "Where is she?" "At my father's mansion. Come quickly." I arrived to find a trembling young girl, no more than 19, dressed in a first wedding gown. Ismaila's eyes gleamed with excitement. "This is Fatima," he announced, "my bride." The girl looked drugged, her eyes unfocused. I demanded to speak with her alone. "Auntie, please," Fatima whispered. "I don't want this. They took me from my family. I don't know what's happening." My blood ran cold. I tried to intervene, but Alhaji and Ismaila silenced me. The wedding was rushed, with only family members and a few influential guests attending. As the ceremony ended, Fatima collapsed. The next day, I visited her in her new home, a gilded cage. She whispered stories of Ismaila's 9-time visits to the village, of the fresh air he had sought. My nephew's desperation had led him to ruin an innocent life. Fatima's words haunted me. I couldn't shake off the feeling of guilt and responsibility. I knew I had to act. I convinced Alhaji to meet with Fatima alone. He listened, his eyes filled with regret as she shared her story. "Forgive me, child," Alhaji said. "I didn't know. I thought it was just another arranged marriage." Fatima's tears mingled with Alhaji's. "It's not your fault, sir." Ismaila's deception turned me deepest. Alhaji's expression hardened. "Ismaila will pay for this. But first, we'll make things right." Together, Alhaji and Fatima devised a plan. Ismaila was summoned to his father's chambers. Alhaji confronted him, his voice thunderous. "You have shamed our family, Ismaila. Fatima is not a trophy to be worn. She's a human being." Ismaila's arrogance crumbled. For the first time, he saw the pain he had caused. "Father, Enough!" Alhaji roared. "You will make amends. Fatima will be treated with dignity and you will earn back her trust." Ismaila nodded, tears streaming down his face. Under Alhaji's watchful eyes, Ismaila began his journey to redemption. He apologized to Fatima and her family, acknowledging his wrongdoing. Fatima, seeing genuine remorse, began to forgive. Ismaila enrolled in counseling to address his entitlement issues. Alhaji, with newfound purpose, focused on philanthropy, establishing programs to empower women and combat forced marriages. Fatima, now free to make her own choices, started a small business with Alhaji's support. As months passed, Ismaila transformed. He became humble, supportive, and kind. Fatima's smile returned, brighter than before. One day, Ismaila approached Fatima, his eyes shining with sincerity. "Fatima, from the moment I met you, I knew you were special. Will you give me another chance? Not as your captor, but as your partner." Fatima's heart melted. "I forgave you long ago, Ismaila, but I'll give you a chance as equals." Their wedding this time was a joyous celebration of love and mutual respect. Alhaji beamed, his health restored by the love and redemption surrounding him. Years passed, Ismaila and Fatima's marriage flourished. They had 2 beautiful children, and their love continued to grow. Alhaji's philanthropic work changed countless lives. He became a respected advocate for women's rights. Fatima's business thrived, employing and empowering women in her community. Ismaila continued his counseling, ensuring he never forgot the lessons he learned. As I look back, I realized that sometimes desperation can lead to destruction, but it can also spark redemption. In the end, love, forgiveness, and growth triumphed.